Hello and welcome back to yet another Geek Show where I guess we're officially adding a new host. This is your host, Alex Ecker, not the new one.
Wow, we should have planned that better. This is your other normal host, Dalton Lee. Brilliant start.
Fantastic.
And this is the hinted to, but also very much lost earlier host, Jacob. Hi.
Okay, here's the secret. This is not Jacob's first episode, but
It's not.
but he done goofed the last one. He said some wildly inappropriate things, and it just needed to be cut for our dignity.
Yeah.
And respect.
See, I like that excuse
forward.
better than I forgot to hit the record button, which is so much better. It's like, oh yeah, he was just saying some very, very hot button topics. Not that he was just an idiot and hit the mouse button on the wrong part of his screen.
Hot button topics, like the record button.
Yeah, like, Jacob, are you sure you're recording for the podcast? And I'm like, oh yeah. slowly eyes computer, hopes that that's definitely recording, but it's okay.
Yeah. 2 days
totally
later,
not
hey
technology
dude,
illiterate.
we didn't get
Just
your
Homer
audio.
Simpson's away back into the background.
Yeah, like no one can see it, but I'm slowly going off the webcam. Oh no, they'll hear me getting farther away. That's nice.
All right. Well, we're going to give you a hell of a new start because we already recorded a Sonic the Hedgehog episode without you, but
Yes.
I think we'll talk about this movie for the rest of time if everyone's all right with that. And I'm going to let you share your thoughts anyway.
Are we turning into like yet another Sonic podcast, despite there probably being none? No, there's got to be one out there. But I loved the movie.
Don't threaten me.
I was so surprised. Okay, listen, like I went in with no expectations because I honestly was like, all right, the trailer looked better, the second trailer, granted. And I was excited about the redesign. And we sat down and it started off really strange. Are we going into spoilers? I'm assuming, or no?
Oh, shoot. We didn't think about that. Avoid spoilers. Well, normally spotlights are spoiler heavy and weeklies are not spoiler. So whatever you can share without major spoilers.
I was like, I'm just going to record a separate pit where I'm like reacting to things as I listen to it so people can be like, let's listen to this audio track you can download to hear Jake's live reactions to the podcast.
Turns out they click the link,
the
it just
opening act
downloads
was-
a hot dog picture.
It's just a hot dog picture, which is something no one's gonna get because I don't know how to use modern technology. But anyway, the opening act was so strange for me because it has like there's a certain character that I feel like did not get a redesign like every other character in that movie. Do you know who I'm talking about? Like they're like it's just such a weird.
I do. Alex looks confused, but
it's okay. There's I'm gonna skip over
the character that didn't appear to come from
any
any existing game, as far as I know.
any existing Sonic lore that we can think of. It looked very realistic, and then there's like little cute baby Sonic being like, "I'm cute, I have a flower," and I remember just staring at it, and I was like, "This is so like I'm interested because I feel like it feels like it's from a Sonic game," but I'm looking at her going, "That's a basic animal right there. They didn't do anything. They just were like, let's throw a necklace on it. It's a fantasy creature. Let's go." Weirdly, I'll say I loved the plot was super simple, but I thought the script was really well written. Like there was a lot of good back and forth between Eggman, Jim Carrey as Eggman, because I thought he killed it. That was like very Ace Ventura, like how he kind of had that whole energy during the entire movie. And then anytime they had back and forth, it was always really snippy and nice. And I thought the animation team did a fantastic job just changing everything around. Everything looked really crisp, and I never felt like Sonic was out of the world. The voice took a little bit of getting used to because I'm so used to like the way past cool like version of him from like all the Dreamcast games and everything. I will say
I did say in the spotlight that I hope Ben Schwartz keeps doing it moving forward because like he's faithful but like good.
Yeah, no, like when I heard him, I didn't realize it was him because like I thought in the first trailer it did sound very much like his Parks and Rec character that I can't remember the name of at all. Oh crap. Ralphie, I can't remember his name. It's going to bother me all night. It's going to hit me randomly. I'm going to shout it in the podcast, and I feel so bad about that. Ralphio? No, Jean Ralphio. Yes, and I clapped. I'm sorry, Jean Ralphio. Because like the first trailer, he sounds like Jean Ralphio, like we're going to get money, and like that's how he sounded to me. And then in the second trailer, he had that Sonic vibe where he had the whole like, oh man, chili dogs, oh man, Eggman, and he made so many good references that a couple went over my head till I had to like actually leave the theater. And my girlfriend was like, "Did you catch it?" And I'm like, the drawing or like the phrase he used from the PSA, and I was like, "I did not," and I had to go back and like actually see that they did use it. Overall, I loved it more than I thought I was gonna. But then again, I went in with no expectations. I thought it was gonna be a dumpster fire, and I was ready for it.
Wow, interesting. So we I don't want to start repeating things for the audience, but I'll just say for you that we praised a lot of the things that you just praised.
Yeah.
I don't want to speak for Alex, but I didn't love it, though. I left thinking that was fine, but kind of forgettable. But I'm excited for a sequel because I think a sequel, based on where it seems like it's going, could be incredible. So, not mad about it, but...
Yeah. If you haven't seen the movie and for some reason have been waiting till these two podcasts to do it, don't leave when the credits start.
You now have our permission to see.
Yeah, you now have yet another Geek Show's permission to sit down and watch this movie and be like, I'm glad I waited.
Yeah. Okay, we'll definitely talk more about it off air afterwards, just since we didn't have the opportunity. But all right, moving on.
Blue for that.
Jacob, you texted me a topic you wanted to bring up, a challenge per se.
I am so ready. Because there's a Nintendo Direct tomorrow, and it's for Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Okay.
And I am dying a little bit inside. And I probably said the name wrong. I bet it's wrong because I'm just like I've been just calling it Animal Crossing and not like going off of like the actual subtitle. But I've been waiting for this for so long to like play a game that is literally life. I just lose myself in it. Like I tried to explain it to a coworker today, and they're like, "So I'm like, you get a house, you pay bills, you meet neighbors." I'm like, "This sounds boring, but it's great." And I'm like, "They're animals that talk in gibberish," and they stared at me, and I was like, "I'm talking to the wrong demographic. It's not going the way I thought." But I did find out a neat thing, which is actually inspiring the fact that. Do you remember how the old Animal Crossing games, they were always kind of to the cartridge or a memory card? The new one is specific to the Switch. Mm-hmm. So if you have it and you play it and you make your island, it is specific to your native Switch. And you can't make any new ones. You have to inhabit the island someone made.
Interesting.
I don't know why they did it. So like I even had a talk about it with Bryony about it, where I was like, to actually like for us to both enjoy it and play it, roughly the same, we'll have to grab another Switch.
Oh. Okay, there's our fourth host.
My dog, apparently.
Ruffio.
Baby, I'm doing a podcast.
Mark Ruffalo.
Emma, come here, baby. No one's here. It's okay. Oh my god. Sorry. You can't see the fourth level host who's totally taking all my seething rage right now.
I have only played the very first Animal Crossing.
I haven't played any.
Oh no!
I'm just gonna say it, man.
It's adorable, but I know it's not for everybody. It's kind of like how I try to suggest Stardew, and I know it's not for everybody either because that takes a lot for me to get into it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, like I've played Stardew Valley. I've actually talked about it on the podcast. And I thoroughly enjoyed my time with it. I don't remember if I said this in the episode, but my wife, she loves like Animal Crossing and like Harvest Moon. And she really wanted to play Stardew Valley, and I had it on my computer. So to be a smartass, I looked at her and I was like, well, I'm going to play it so that way you can't. Ha. And then I started playing it, and 4 hours later, I'm like, oh, God, I love this. Like, I actually had a good time with it. Yeah. So, like, I do think, like, if the new Animal Crossing, if it's anything like, you know, somewhat of like a Stardew Valley, then, yeah, I'm sure I'd be into it.
Yeah, I mean, I liked the first one when I played it when it was new, and I think I would still enjoy the franchise. It's just that I played it shortly before a really long period of my life where I didn't play any video games. And then by the time I was playing video games again, I'm like, oh, there's a bunch of these now. That's intimidating, even though I'm sure it's one of those franchises where you don't need to play them all, but I do.
No, I understand that because there's like I'll look at games that aren't connected and I'll sit there and someone's like, oh, you can just jump into like Assassin's Creed for like issue. Like not a lot of them are really connected. And I hadn't played anything since the first one. And there's like 12. I don't know how many there are now. And I'll sit there and look and I'm like, then jump into the new one. I'm like, yeah, but 12. I haven't played any except the first one.
Yeah, and it's just, I can tell you only the first 5 of them are meaningfully connected in any serious way. But like, what if you do eventually play them all because you start playing them and you like them, and then you would have had a better experience if you did it in order, because you could play the best ones first because everyone recommended them, and then you go back to the first game and you're like, wow, this is trash because I just played all the great ones.
Yeah.
And then
if that is always interesting, like.
Yeah, and then if you are going to play them all, you probably wanted to develop like a knowledge of how the game progressed. You wanted to have opinions and feelings about how it changed as it went along, but you didn't experience it the way it went along. So that's just me. The guy that went, Persona 5 looks cool. Let's play a fan translation of Megami Tensei.
Oh, man. That is a handful. Oh, God, that series is intense.
Yeah,
that actually leads into an interesting, because like it's getting so much easier to play older games or catch up on whole series, because a lot of games are getting re-released or remastered. Like the big one on like the tail being Final Fantasy VII, like that coming out in April. With like even with the Assassin's Creed games, I'm pretty sure all of them are on modern console now, except maybe the first, for everybody to jump into. Is there like an old game that means a lot to you from like your childhood that you wish would get like a nice modern re-release, so people, even not just yourself,
Legend of Dragoon,
look at someone and be like, here's what you missed. Yes, there you go.
Okay,
immediately Legend of Dragoon.
So this is the topic I thought you were going to start with when I said, so you texted me about a topic, and then you went into Animal Crossing, and I'm like, oh, this is fine too, I guess. I'm
not gonna lie. I started going through the Animal Crossing topic in my head, and all it was is I'm excited, and that was it. And I was like, crap. let's get that real quick and try to find a transition to the next one. Getting some behind the scenes action, guys. This is great.
Nailed it. So my game is Animal Crossing for the GameCube.
It's full circle now. We're coming back.
That's right. Oh, shit.
Oh, so the trouble with this question for me is that Final Fantasy VII would have been my answer.
There you go.
Oh, man.
So I'm going to have to keep thinking about that while Alex elaborates on Legend of Dragoon.
Yeah, hit that, because I feel like you're going to be able to elaborate on Legend of Dragoon better than I would, and I'm going to think of another game right now because I was going to do Legend of Dragoon. I'm also going to take a step back and try to think of something else that means a lot to me.
Yeah, sure. Well, the Legend of Dragoon, for one, it was Sony made. Like, it wasn't like another developer. It was strictly Sony. It sold millions. It was kind of the dialogue was sort of broken translation in certain spots. So it'd be nice to actually get the correct dialect and understanding of the story now that it's been out for a little over 20 years now. The combat system is still turn-based, but like it's almost like QTE, like quick time event. Like you have to press the button at the exact time to continue your attack whenever you do attack. Some of the things in the game were unbalanced. Like one of the later game characters is stronger than like the giant muscly dude. Some of the magic and like stats could be really rebalanced again. And not even that, but like the world, there's a lot to look at inside the world, but there's like not a lot of spoken history to you in the game, and I think it was kind of a missed opportunity that they could really do in a remake. Not to mention, like the characters transform, they get elemental powers, and get like this sweet armor and wings and do unique magic attacks that you really wouldn't see in any other game. And I think those animations would work out really damn well if it was remade.
So you are talking like a full-blown remake, like the way Final Fantasy VII's getting one, not just like a remaster with tweaks.
Okay, that I could see like a remaster with tweaks, but I think a remake would do it so much more justice because they already have the source material. Like they can go off of the original scripted events. It'd be interesting to see what they do because everything in the game is like pre-rendered. So like it's just like the classic Final Fantasy VII pre-rendered, moving across different screens. But I think they would have to find some sort of balance between that and like an open world to kind of make it work. Because there's with like something like Final Fantasy VII where like people kind of build the world and like, you know what I mean? I'm wondering how much of it was actually like fan sourced. Like, hey, this is what Midgar would look like over in like this section, from the buildings that you don't see. Whereas, like,
I believe they're doing away with like the overworld map and making it all truly connected,
a little more linear, so to speak.
Not that it's less open world, just that there's no overworld barrier in between them. It's straight up walk from this town to this town without a layer of abstraction in between. Okay.
Yeah, I could see it working out pretty well, like for Legend of Dragoon, if they did that kind of approach to it. Because like there was an overworld, but you were literally walking on like a guided path to the next place. It wasn't like overworld where you can explore everywhere, kind of like Final Fantasy VII. It was just it's even that was sort of unique for its own thing. You know what I mean? Because like you'd leave the first village and go into a forest, and you'd leave and go into this overworld. And literally, you just seen like a blip on a map and a bunch of dots that your character would just automatically follow, and then another blip on the map that would be the forest. And then from there, they would load up the world or area, not world, and go from that.
Yeah. And then with this Final Fantasy VII remake, I've seen people complain, not about that change, getting rid of the overworld, but I've seen people complain that like they're changing it at all. Because they're saying, no, I wanted the exact same thing, but with new graphics. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, the original's my favorite game of all time, but like I could care less about the gameplay that was there. Replace 100% of that.
Yeah.
And the graphics haven't aged well. I mean, the aesthetic, the look of the world is incredible. The art style is incredible, but the actual quality of it is terrible. So this is a version that is undoing exactly the terrible things in the game and leaving the rest intact.
Dude, like with like the overworld in Final Fantasy VII, it was the most frustrating part of the game. like every single time, like you had to find something. It's like, oh, hey, this thing is going that way. Follow it, and then you get lost on this overworld map, and you're like, "What the fuck? Where am I going?" It just leaves a lot less. It doesn't pad the game out. If they're getting rid of the overhead.
Yeah.
Well,
that issue though, any like confusion about where to go next, that could still exist with or without the overworld.
Yeah, but.
This being a modern game, though, I wonder if they're just going to do the put waypoints everywhere thing, and I hope they don't.
Yeah, I'm slightly worried about that. Like, it's going to be the like, oh, your new quest is this way. Follow this little waypoint. And the best thing about most of the old school Final Fantasies was just talking to people and figuring things out. And 7 had a lot of that because there'd be times it'd just be really vague, and other times it's like you need to go save Aerith in the tower. She's there. You got to go. Other times it's just like, you're in this new place. Maybe look around for a little bit and find out you have to cross-dress. Like, it's like there's a whole thing of how you like discover stuff in those games.
Yeah. I'm sorry, you just reminded me of the cross-dressing bit of the game.
Yeah.
That I'm thrilled they're still doing.
I'm so happy they're keeping that in.
Please tell me his name is Thunderhead.
Yeah, well, I mean, when they announced this remake, everyone was like, they're totally cutting that, right? We're too sensitive to... I'm like, you're sensitive if you think they're cutting it. Knock it off.
See, the only thing I'm actually worried about them adding is that it seems like Sephiroth has like a more prominent role while in Midgar. And I thought the best thing about his characterization was like the mystery. Because like up until, I think, Cloud's flashback, all you get is like stories and hints of like what he was capable of and like this amazing legend. And that's the only thing I'm worried about. I'm still pretty psyched for it. I'm just hoping it's not like he's in every scene. Like everybody has this already like this new idea that he's this big threat, because he's like really well built up as the game goes on. This is slowly turning into a Final Fantasy VII episode.
Sure. And that could just be an issue of, you know, if they didn't do that, you have this weird scenario where, you know, this just kind of being a part 1 out of who knows how many releases it's going to be. You might have got to the end of part 1 and never been introduced to Sephiroth ever, which might be more of a marketing problem than an actual storytelling problem. But I don't know. The expanding the story could royally screw up a bunch of things, or it could make a great story even better.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
It'll be interesting to see.
It's
what
going to be really cool to see how it plays out. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's weird to see the marketing keep ignoring that it's a part 1, though.
Yeah,
That feels dishonest. A lot of people are mad about the release style and breaking it apart, and they're like, oh, they're selling you a third of a game for $60. And I'm like, that's not really true, because they're expanding it to the point where each part is still a full game. So I'm not upset about how much content I'm getting for my purchase. I am a little upset that they're not being honest with their marketing, though.
Yeah, because it like they're showing off like all this new stuff they've added, which is great. But I think a lot of people who are just very disconnected from that, who just kind of see, oh, they remade Final Fantasy VII, are going to jump into it and watch the credits roll like after the bike chase scene, if we're correct about when it's supposed to end. And you're just going to be kind of sitting there like, huh. Like having this weird expression, but like at the same time, if there was like a good 60 hours behind that, like does it,
like, is there another disc in this case?
Well, no, actually, there are two. There are 2 discs on the Blu-ray, and it's going to be 100 gigabytes on your PlayStation.
Oh,
jeez.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So like that adds hope. I mean, that there's going to be like content, but like I'm just like at the same time, it's going to be weird to see like maybe they start anthology games as a thing.
Oh,
They did that with 15
Like what they did
a
with
little
him.
bit. Like,
Yeah, like they had like an expanded universe. Yeah.
yeah, where like the other main characters had like their own sort of quote unquote chapter.
or were you thinking more of a like Dirge Cerberus Crisis Core kind of thing?
I was thinking like how they did. It's almost like how whenever Final Fantasy X came out, none of us knew there was going to be a sequel or like had any inkling there would ever be another one. And then 10-2 dropped out of nowhere. And it was like, oh, there's more to the world. It'd be interesting for them to start like dropping Final Fantasy VII, and then like maybe a subtitle, because like, or like maybe just part 2 or however they decide to do it. And you just take a game, instead of having like what happened with Final Fantasy 15, having all that stuff re-added as time goes on, to like do an anthology release of your next big title. Because then you have time.
I
to
do
respond to
hope that
critics
it's
in a way
better than
that's,
10-2 though.
I don't know, because they introduced cross-dressing. Cloud can get a dress sphere in like the second game, and just be like, all right, time to get back in the outfit.
And then he can get his own ultimate dress.
Wow, guys, I want like microtransactions and loot boxes for parts of the dress.
Keep in mind, Dalton, I don't think you've ever played Final Fantasy X or 10-2, have you?
No.
10's fantastic. Like I actually
10 is-
thoroughly
10 is
enjoyed
10.
it. It has its flaws,
Like,
don't get me
I
wrong,
love-
but
The setting can basically be described as a tropical post-apocalypse. No, it is. Everybody's in these nice island towns like, things are great. This evil death god from the ocean ruined the world. And you're like, but you're all partying. Like, what happened? And then your Titus just laughing at the sky, which is also fantastic.
Jacob, did you come up with another answer to the question?
You know what's really bad is I've been going through answers in my head, and all I've thought of games that have been remastered. I was like, Link's Awakening, no. Final Fantasy, no. That one's been done. Actually,
I'm having
I got
a hard
one, and I
time
know
with
it's
it
never gonna
because I'm thinking back to my favorite games, and I'm struggling because a lot of my favorite games are just part of franchises, and they've had not necessarily remakes or re-releases, but like sequels. So like Super Mario World would be a top 5 game of all time, but like I don't need a remade Super Mario World. I have a million sequels that play similarly or do more inventive things. Why would I need a remake of that? Assassin's Creed 2 is one of my favorite games ever, but like I've played a million other Assassin's Creed games and they're similar enough.
Yeah.
That game's also not quite old enough to warrant a remake.
Actually, I think
so.
it's more of a
What was your
series,
new
and it's
answer?
only 2 games, but I would love to see even just remasters, because I think like a remake would be kind of a lot to ask, and Square Enix has always been kind of mute on it. But a nice remaster of Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross.
Ooh, okay.
You threw the word nice in there because there are bad remakes.
Yeah, there are. Because there have been some where they released it and you're like, this is more broken than the original one that came out. But like Chrono Trigger is a classic. Like everybody, it's one of the shortest, greatest RPGs.
Absolutely, it is.
But I feel like Chrono Cross got looked over like hard. And the only reason I knew about it is my dad, when he went shopping for me, saw Chrono and was like, that's a game he has, and bought it. And it's the only reason I knew it existed. But it was so good.
See, I tried Chrono Cross a while back, and I was interested in the battle system, but at the same time, maybe I should go back and retry it, because like I lost interest real quick, but I like Chrono Trigger hooked into me real hard, and I would love to see it again. Like in better fashion, as long as they don't fuck the what's the word, the combat system.
I think they could full-blown remake it.
No, I think you actually have a good point, because like you could probably make it so you're kind of moving around in like a more 3D arena if they do like that full-blown remake. It would be maybe in the vein of how they're doing Final Fantasy VII, not to like loop back to it, but you could have like a nice setup where like you're running around doing active time but also moving around essentially.
Yeah,
and it wouldn't make them as much money as Final Fantasy VII, but it would also cost them a lot less money.
that's true. Yeah.
I don't think the combat system needs nearly as much modernizing as Final Fantasy VII's does.
No.
That sounds silly because it's the older of the 2 games, but it's true.
But I mean, like, if you look at Chrono Trigger's combat system, like, you had combo moves, and I feel like a modern take on that would kind of ruin it. Like, I could just see a lot of like
they could do it exactly the same from a new camera angle.
Oh yeah, but it just like something about it just feels like there could be a lot of like outside elements, like your AI's like code if it's in the middle of doing something. Oh, can't do this move right now, or you know what I mean, something like that. Like I think
like you'd be hovering over like the move option and like waiting for it to like highlight instead of being more opaque, like waiting for that move to be like, I can do it now, thank God.
Right. And then like you lead to a lot of like broken game mechanic that way, because like all you're going to do is just wait for that move all the entire time instead of actually engaging in the game. I do that a lot. I am going to lie, because a lot of games just give that option.
I'd be like, I'm waiting for my super move. I know I can use my super move. And I mean, like, I kind of have hope for it sometimes, because you see, like, the Mana series getting, like, all this, like, remakes and pushed out of, like, Trials of Mana's. Like, the original one's was re-released on the Switch, and they got the new, like, a totally remastered remake version coming out, and I sit there and go, just someone look over in the Chrono corner. Just someone look over there and be like, my 2 little games. Time to fly.
There's just a bookshelf wall in a Square Enix office that just has one copy of every game they've ever released, and someone's just staring at it going, and they just need their eyes to land in the right place.
Yeah.
If Final Fantasy VII does well, we're going to see more full-blown remakes.
I think so.
And frankly, the world of gaming doesn't have a lot of full-blown remakes. It has remasters. And I don't really, that's not a big deal to me, but there's not a whole lot of full-blown remakes. So yeah, if 7 does great, we could see it happen for Chrono, I think.
My Amazon
although I just realized
I was talking to it. So
I just realized, though, I've been
fifth
picturing
host.
it wrong.
The fifth host.
I've been picturing this game wrong in my head because the whole time you were talking about it and I'm like imagining a modernized version of it, I kept visualizing graphically something more similar to this new Final Fantasy VII. And then I realized, no, you lean into the Toriyama art.
Exactly.
Yeah, you make it look like a DBZ
Dragon
game.
Quest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as they don't do like the specific art style that DBZ's been doing with its games, like I would be okay. Something
They
that's
could do a Dragon Quest kind of feel.
Yeah.
yeah, Dragon Quest would be
I think
okay.
it's the
I think
same.
if they did
Yeah.
it like in the vein of Dragon Quest, it'd be all right.
Yeah, I was initially picturing more realism, and I realized, no, I got that wrong. You lean into the anime thing, and I'm sure that's also cheaper for them to do because the assets need less detail when they do that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I still don't have an answer unless Final Fantasy VII counts.
I mean, it really does count, but actually, bringing up like the aesthetic of the game, Alex would know this because he's played a little bit of Chrono Cross. The visual style changed between both games. Toriyama did nothing for Chrono Cross like he did for Chrono Trigger. So, like, would you, if you brought both games back, would you just do like
Retrofit it.
like kind of just retro it, yeah, like do something like that, or just kind of retcon the art style, which would be, it would add like a new take where like me going in to play it, being a big fan of the original, be like, there's this whole new look, seeing things in a different light completely. I thought about like if you weren't gonna like completely upscale it, like give Chrono Trigger the Octopath Traveler treatment. Make it a little bit like that.
Interesting.
Okay, yeah, that I can see that working too. But yeah, if they were to do it like in a full 3D environment, I think they should just do them in their own respective rights of how they were illustrated in the first place. I think that would work over well because, to my knowledge, I don't know if either of the games are really connected in a story. Like,
Yes, without being spoilery.
okay,
Which isn't like
yeah,
yes. No,
fair enough. Fair enough. Are they like as far as time frame wise, are they like decades apart or not like in release date, but like in story? Are they like long time in between?
In story, I want to say like, I could be so wrong and someone's going to butcher me on this later, but I want to say maybe between 10 and 20 years apart, story-wise.
Okay.
I remember going through Chrono Cross and like undoing events, some things that you do in Trigger, and I remember I'd played them back to back, and I remember being kind of mad about something, but I'm not going to go into it. That'll be a spotlight.
Fair. But yeah, I don't know, because like I still think like you should do it in like their own natural respective illustration. Like I think that would be a
just
fair way
lean
to do it
harder into
justice.
whatever they initially envisioned.
Yeah, I think that's a fair.
Because the nostalgia factor, yeah.
Absolutely. Dalton, I know what your game is.
I had one come to mind, and then I realized that what I actually want is more of a reboot or a sequel. We desperately need a new Pokemon Snap.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2.
Okay, I was going to move on to that after, actually.
What a transition.
Pokemon Snap is another pretty much perfect game, but it's just too little in content. You wouldn't do a 1-to-1 remake of that because it's a like 2-hour game to finish it, and there's so many more Pokemon now to include. But I think you take that idea and really flesh it out, and I think Pokemon moves on to a more realistic art style. Please God, I don't know if that's a controversial opinion amongst gamers, but they are riding too hard on like keeping the graphics pretty low quality and using the excuse that like it's stylized. I'm like, yeah, but you're still low poly and low res textures, and you're being lazy because you got to be a mobile developer all this time, and now we have expectations.
Shots fired, Game Freak.
So let's move on to something more realistic so that it's more exciting and interesting that I'm roaming around in the jungle. Maybe do away with the on rails thing and just make it more of an exploring thing. Maybe get rid of
battling
Pokemon Snap meets
entirely.
Death Stranding.
You're literally running around with like your book bag. You got some somber Pokemon music playing in the background. You got the Lavender Town theme just like droning in as you're walking around. Just like, is that a Pikachu? Just meeting other photographers, like seeing waypoints.
Pikachu, I've got some monster.
You have to have a crazy rival with face paint, though, being like, "You gonna snap them all? You gonna do it?"
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay. I don't know if this sounded like a joke, but I mean it. I didn't know it until it fell out of my mouth, but I mean it. That's what I want. However, that's not really a re-release or a remake. And so I would say, yeah, Tony Hawk, but not specifically 2. I would say you straight up remake the first 4 of them into one collective game, because those are also pretty short games lacking in content.
Yeah.
There was some years back Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD, which did remake old levels from then, but like the game felt like shit and it was only a handful of levels.
Oh, gotcha.
You just go back and remake the whole campaigns of all 4 games, make one game with an actual like decent length, and then like the level designs between games did change to accommodate new abilities. So like the second game introduces manuals, the third introduces reverts, fourth one introduces spine transfers, and so maybe you unlock those as you go through the campaign. You have to play through the first game's levels and then you unlock manuals, keep going from there. Maybe you get more advanced challenges when you revisit the earlier levels, having unlocked the new skills.
Yeah.
And this time you just don't make it feel like ass. So yeah, that's my answer.
My favorite part.
See, the only because we talked about Tony Hawk before, and the only thing actually I remembered having experience with, I think it was Tony Hawk's American Wasteland. Was that a game?
Yeah.
Wasn't it? Because all I remember is because I remember someone was like, "Oh, it's like skateboarding, but there's a big story," and I don't remember any of the story. Because I remember just trying to go through it so I could skateboard.
It's just Tony Hawk's Pro Skater with extra steps.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Don't worry, you will get there.
I'm finishing up 4 right now, so I'll be talking about that next week. And since we lost the episode where I talked about 3, I'll rush through that too. But I'm excited that like after that comes Tony Hawk's Underground, which is where they started having a story. And I'm curious to see, like, I loved the idea at the time. We'll see if I'm still amused or if it just pisses me off. So
they're like, "Man, you don't own this park," and you're like, "I just want to skate." See, that's how we make a new Tony Hawk Pro Skater 9, because I think there's only 8, right? I'm not being. Like,
there's more than that, man. It's sad.
There's more. We need to make a new one, and there's like this intense story where people are super passionate about skateboarding, but you're the main character, Dalton, and you're just like, "Please, I'm just here to skate. Stop threatening my life. I don't know why this is happening." And the game is you getting like through tutorials only for them to run up, pitch off your board, and be like, "It's a gang fight."
People keep approaching you to try to start a storyline. Like dude's like, "Oh, this purse snatcher down there. Why am I doing this in a dude's voice? That doesn't often happen." Whoa. And then you're like, "Nah, punch," and you skate away and you keep doing what you want.
That's you have dialogue options, but it's just one big box, one option says punch and skate away. It's just every time you do it.
I'd love if they do like the infamous or Fable route with good or bad intentions, like use porta potty or shit on the sidewalk. Just pick one or the other.
But like, they don't tell you which is good or bad. Just punch and walk away or shit on the sidewalk. Yeah, it's always like some old lady's like, "Can you help me with my groceries?" You just bah!
It depends on who's talking to you, I guess.
And that's where the online component comes in. If you'll see who's making decisions, because you just see online piles of shit with name tags on them, like Dandyman 55. He took a shit on the sidewalk.
420 Blaze at Ollie, man. He took a shit right here.
Right here. Man, these kids sure know how to skate.
They sure know how to shit.
They built a monument to each sidewalk shit, and now you can't skate over them forever.
Yeah. They do the
You've permanently altered the world like Death Stranding.
Yeah, it's so messed up. You're just waiting for the world to reload. You're like, there's an online janitor program comes in and cleans up shit. You're just waiting for it. You're like, please, There's just Dalton wanting to skate, and then me and Alex on the game like, shit, every corner. We will not let him have fun.
This shit on the board.
Oh my God.
Your spawn points been shot on. You need to reload the game.
Bullshit and bird shit have both been actual gameplay mechanics / story mechanics of this franchise. So
Yeah.
I think we're on to something.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
I have been missing out. 2 variations of shit in a skating franchise? What have I been doing with my life?
Oh, depending on which game you pick, there's also just general shit.
Yeah.
You just wipe
As
out
in
just
gameplay.
shit.
Depending on which game.
Quality.
Yeah, depending on which game you go, what is this shit?
Yeah, what is this shit? Or like you go from this is the shit to what is this shit?
Yeah.
Tony Hawk's Pro shit.
On the back of the case, experience shit like never before.
Yeah.
This just reminded me of this ridiculous, super edgy, super stupid poster. My lisp is really just pouring out of this sentence. A poster I used to
Shitting out of
have
the
when I
sentence.
was like 10 that was just like a list of different phrases that used the word shit.
Oh, I remember
like
that
we were
poster.
just doing.
I remember that poster. Because
Yeah, it was...
It was about different ideologies, wasn't it? Like
Yeah, it
was
somehow
Buddhism,
compared
shit
them
happens
to, like...
you, and then shit happens again. Like,
Yes. No, wait, I'm remembering this. Oh my god. We need to find this poster.
We'll look for it after. If we find it, it'll be on our Discord. Link in the description.
yeah, check out our link tree where you can get the Discord invite.
Oh, fabled shit fable poster.
The fabled shit poster.
Oh,
Speaking
God.
of
Shit poster.
Speaking of shit, I started a game.
tell me how you feel about it.
Yeah, hit us with it.
Shovel Knight King of Cards.
No. What? No. You mean the shit, right?
No way.
Is it
a
bad?
mix. It's a mix. It's oh.
No.
I really like the story behind it because like King Knight, it's before he gets Pridemore Keep, and like his only loyal subjects are the rats.
I'm a cry.
And like he lives at his mom's house.
Oh no.
And it's kind of funny, but like what they do is for him to get the title of king, he has to beat the card masters, and it's just a giant side quest is all it is. Like you play a card game called Joustus, I believe it's called. And it's an optional thing, but they want the game to be based around it. And you have to beat the 3 judges. And I got through the first judge today, and you don't even beat them in the card game. You fight them. You don't
I'm
fight.
so sorry.
The levels are super stupid short. Like 1 checkpoint and then you get to the end. They're not like the typical 4 or 5 checkpoint levels in like Plague of Shadows, Spectre of Torment, or Shovel Knight. It's just
You
kind
can't
of
see the pain in Dalton's face right now.
I found the poster.
I feel for you, man. This explains why it explains why Yacht Club Games today announced they're gonna have a Nintendo Direct like stream talking about their future past Shovel Knight, and they're just like, you're good. I can. Like it just like as he said that, like I felt that pain, man. I just saw
like,
you like lose all hope.
like the dialogue is great, but the gameplay isn't. Like it just feels like a rehash. Like
now.
Like I know I'm kind of going into like a spotlightish territory. However, I did play Showdown because that's out too.
Well, before you move on to that, at the risk of spoiling our eventual spotlight on the entire game pack, I did really hate the
Plague of Shadows or whatever it was.
not Plague Knight. Who was the other one?
You hated Spectre Knight.
No.
Spectre Knight. Oh, no, you're right. Spectre Knight was great. I hated Plague Knight.
Yeah, Plague of Shadows was not good. It's not that it was like not good. It was really challenging because you spend a lot of time muscle memorying these levels and having to do them entirely different, you know?
Right.
But with King of Cards, like I said, the levels are stupid short. There's tons of them, but it doesn't make it any fun. You know what I mean?
Oh.
But jumping off of that, going over to Showdown, it's a 4-player battle arena kind of thing. And it's almost in like Smash Bros-esque stages, which is kind of cool. But you can pick like who was it? Shovel Knight, Plague Knight, Spectre Knight, King Knight, of course, Shield Knight, Propeller Knight, the Snow Guy, and the Black Knight. I know I'm probably missing one more, but you could go through like arenas and stuff. But the one thing, like I literally only got to play one match before we started recording, so I don't know if there's different like styles of the game. But you fight, and whoever gets 5 gems that are randomly spawned in the area wins. So there's like unlimited lives. Like if you fall into like the lava per se, you die, but you come back. There's no like repercussions of dying. You just have to collect the amount of gems and then you win. At least from what I said.
That's interesting.
Yeah, like I said, I only got to play one match before we came on air. So I don't know if there's different, like fight to the death or, team fighting or anything like that. But I'm kind of excited to play it with friends. So yeah, there's at least a silver lining.
I think we found your new remake. Then you want to remake King of Cards. Right?
Hey guys, I want to remake the poster, which I have found and posted in our Discord.
Is it really that bad?
I tried not to. Oh wow, it is like.
There's a lot of.
I couldn't find a higher resolution, by the way.
Don't worry about it. I'm going to read that. There really
I'm
is.
also realizing now that I didn't get half of these jokes at the time.
You're just
my
like,
favorite
kid, like,
one, though.
Okay, that's funny somehow.
I love the very bottom one, and it's like emphasized because they couldn't come up with just one more, and so it's like centered. Whereas the rest of it is 2 columns.
Like nice, perfect columns till you get to the right at the bottom, and it's like, nah, pop it in the middle.
And then my favorite one, Wicca, you can make shit happen, but bad shit will happen to you 3 times. This is my favorite because of a very short period of time in high school where I considered myself a Wiccan for some reason.
Yeah, with the black fingernails and...
No offense to Wiccans. It was a weird thing where every goth kid in my high school called themselves a Wiccan, and I'm like, I guess I believe that too. I wear black. Dude, that's how that works.
Dude, we went to the same high school. I know exactly what you mean.
The devil's red.
Different high school, but yeah.
So you know what? Yeah.
Yeah. Or it was, guys, I don't like that kid because he's goth. Do you remember those,
God,
Dalton?
he's goth. He just stands over there.
And I'm like, dude, I'm wearing a black t-shirt and jeans. Like, how the fuck does that make me goth? Bullies are bad.
I remember that.
Bullies suck.
I don't like that this poster was a memorable enough part of all of our lives to remember
At
it.
some point, we were all like, "Yeah, we got this on." I had to have it on my door because if my parents came in, they would have obviously looked right at it. It'd been like, "The hell is this?" So I had to they open the door to go right to the wall, and I'd be like laughing, like, "You don't know."
My favorite line on this poster is optimism. Shit won't happen to me.
Shit'll happen.
Yeah. Oh man.
I don't know. That makes me think of some kind of. I remember seeing a T-shirt. My friend said they saw it on a T-shirt. They considered themselves an apocalyptimist. They knew the end of the world was coming, but they were pretty jazzed about it. I was like, what? They're like, yeah, it's gonna happen, but you mean like it gets to be like Fallout? And I'm like, I don't think you understand how world ending works. The world just doesn't end. You walk outside, you get a laser gun, and someone's like, Colonel, we need you to go to another settlement. That just doesn't happen.
When the world does end, I hope it's when the Earth stops rotating
We just fly.
So people just fucking fly. Like, you don't know what's going on. You just go through everything and anything until you explode.
You're the one guy who got like enough altitude that you're just really high up, not hitting anything, and you're like, well, at some point, I gotta get down.
Any day now.
You land in like some nicely put area where all the marshmallows hit, and you're somehow alive, and you're just like, well, gravity shouldn't work, but all right.
You know, I've heard some particularly like edgy people be like, you know, the zombie apocalypse just sounds like a lot of fun because, like, get it? Because they're edgy because they'd be able to kill people, and wouldn't that be fun? And
Yeah.
dude, I played an hour of Fallout 4 VR, and it's not fun. I'll never open it again because that's not even a zombie apocalypse. That's just a bunch of human assholes apocalypse, and it was too dreary for me to handle after an hour. And I'm like, no, never again.
No.
Now, Skyrim VR is the greatest gaming experience I've ever had. Fallout 4 VR, unbearable.
Oh, that's funny.
I gotta save my son. 30 hours later, man, my farm looks real nice. Oh wait, my boy. That was my Fallout 4 thing. I got almost all the way through the game, and I was like, what am I doing again? Oh, my kid.
Oh, shit.
Virtual father of the year over here, guys.
The best part about Skyrim in VR is when someone says, you should not have come here, because you're really there.
Yeah,
You're like, oh, shit. Am I underdressed?
you're like sitting in your room like, oh my god, what? Is this sword art? Am I stuck in here now? I can't get out of the game.
Although I do have to say, the first time I played Skyrim VR was at Dalton's house, and he's like, yeah, check this out. And I walk into a cave, and I had a wooden shield, just whatever sword, and this dude shoots an icicle at you, and like throwing the shield in your face. It worked, but it scared the shit out of me because the icicle went through the shield just a little bit to be right in your face. I was like, oh god,
It's too real. Pull me out.
I do remember that we turned off collision control so that I could walk as far as the sky would let me, and then we turned it back on and I fell to my deth.
Oh my god.
This was Alex's immediate thought. Oh, I'm in Skyrim VR. Let's open up the console commands and see what this baby can do.
And feel the fear.
Oh man, that's like
That sounds like a pleasant VR
Spider-Man
experience.
Far From Home virtual reality experience that I still have to play, and I'm kind of terrified just because it's Spider-Man, and I've played VR games where you fall. And I actually have to stand there with my knees bent, so that way I just don't fall over. Like,
You go with it.
Yeah, so you don't just topple over and ruin your money.
I never played. Let's call it Pancake Skyrim. I've only really played Skyrim VR.
Oh,
Pancake
and I did
Earth
not
Skyrim.
know. Wow.
Oh god. No. The
Jesus.
Stormcloaks think the Earth's flat.
So,
Can't join them.
so I did not know about the giants knocking your ass into space.
yeah. They set your ass to the stratosphere.
Just
man.
didn't know. I was just like, let's see if I can take this dude. And boom, yeah, in VR, they still knock your ass into space.
That'd be terrifying as hell. You just...
It was at this moment that Dalton knew.
He knew the Stormcloaks were right. Skyrim's flat.
I can see the edge of the world.
Wait a minute.
It is flat.
Ulfric's just somewhere nodding his head like, yes. Finally.
Just
Another convert.
he's flat on the ground, and someone looks at you and goes, "Let me guess, someone stole your sweet roll."
Yes, someone sort of sweet roll. And then shot you in the knee. Oh man. Really dating ourselves with these memes.
We promise
Okay.
this is in 2020.
Jeez. Okay. So, somehow, guys, the question of your dream remaster or remake managed to occupy the entire goddamn show.
Holy crap. Yes. Oh no. I'm so sorry.
So, So if you visit broccolibomberstudios.com, I will have written about the Watchmen TV series that I intended to talk about.
Oh no!
And I will have written about the Lighthouse movie, which I intended to talk about. So go there for opinions on the things I meant to discuss. And we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for listening.
Goodbye.